Hi everyone, and welcome to Spiral Emanations. I'm Skye Gracely, here in sometimes sunny Los Angeles. If you're tuning in for the first time, we're genuinely glad to have you with us. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host across the globe, Reece Barrows.
And I'm Reece Barrows here in London. Definitely not as sunny as LA today. Winter is taking itself very seriously on this side of the pond. A warm welcome to everyone listening from wherever you are in the world.
We love having you here. If you're just joining us, Spiral Emanations is all about exploring mysteries, hidden science, and all those stories where you wish someone would finally connect the dots.
Exactly. There's nothing we enjoy more than uncovering the bizarre and brilliant stories that usually slip under the radar. And honestly, the headlines we've got for you this week are wilder than ever.
That all sounds wild. But before we get swept up in hidden ruins and genius dolphins, how's your week been, Reece? Any magical happenings in London?
Actually, yes. I ventured out to Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park. Skye, I wore the purple embroidered cape. You know the one. I was standing in line for hot chocolate and, no surprise, with all the sleet, my cape started icing over. But the best part was what happened next. Some kids spotted me and decided I had to be a real wizard. So, naturally, I gave out wizard blessings to everyone waiting in line. Honestly, I've never had a more theatrical cup of hot chocolate.
Honestly, with you in that purple cape giving out wizard blessings, they should just make you the headline act at Winter Wonderland. Please tell me you at least signed a few enchanted napkins for your fans?
Only on napkins. No magical pacts, I promise. But honestly, with all the wizardry going on, I kept thinking about Brian at the soundboard. We should send him a cape for his own spellcasting back there.
For anyone new, Brian is our absolutely heroic sound engineer and episode editor. He's the one who makes sure you never have to hear us fighting with chords or, spilling tea on our notes. But even that chaos is nothing compared to what happened in LA this weekend with all the rain. It was the Calabash Festival, a big music festival here, and instead of sunny dancing, it turned into a total downpour. I wore a clear poncho thinking I was prepared, but halfway through, I got completely tangled up with someone's umbrella.
That sounds absolutely brilliant. I can just imagine you accidentally leading a parade of tangled ponchos through the rain.
So I'm kind of wrestling with this umbrella, and then a bunch of other people get their ponchos tangled in. At some point, it just turned into this rainbow conga line of strangers, all slipping around and laughing, and of course I somehow ended up leading the pack. Chaos just nominates me every time. Only in LA, right? Between your freezing hot chocolate in a wizard cape and my rain dancing in plastic, I feel like the universe was just prepping us for weird news.
Honestly, the news this week is every bit as surprising as your festival adventure.
So here's what we're getting into tonight. Archaeologists have just discovered some truly massive underwater ruins off the coast of Spain. So yes, Atlantis is back in the headlines. And over in the science world, researchers are making real breakthroughs decoding how dolphins communicate, with the help of some wild new AI. Let's start with that discovery in Spain, near Chipiona. Scientists have mapped an area of stone ruins that spans about 11.5 square miles.
11.5? That's huge, bigger than a fair few cities.
Some of the walls are up to 23 feet tall, and the wildest part is, everything's buried under 20 meters of sediment. The whole site basically disappeared under the sea. To make sense of it all, the team, led by archaeologist Michael Donnellan, along with Ingenio Films and some independent geologists, is being really careful. What's even more fascinating is how closely the site lines up with Plato's description of Atlantis as being beyond the Pillars of Hercules. That's actually where the Strait of Gibraltar is, for anyone catching up on their Greek geography. So, Reece, I know everyone's heard of Atlantis, but do we actually know what Plato said about it? Was it a real place or just a story?
According to Plato, Atlantis was this enormous island kingdom ruled by kings descended from Poseidon himself. He describes a dazzling city laid out in perfect circles, rings of land and water crisscrossed with canals and gleaming with temples made of precious metals. He even claims the whole kingdom was bigger than Libya and Asia put together, overflowing with forests and animals. The wildest part? Plato says Atlantis didn't just fade away, it sank beneath the sea in a single day and night, swallowed by floods and earthquakes. The thing is, Plato tells it like it's true history, but even in his own time, people debated whether he meant it literally or as a kind of epic myth. So when explorers try to follow Plato's clues, they're really chasing a story that's balanced right between legend and lost world, always hunting for those rings beyond the edge of the known world.
So when Plato says Atlantis was beyond the Pillars of Hercules, that's basically the Strait of Gibraltar. But for ancient Greeks and Romans, what did those pillars actually represent? Why was crossing them such a big deal?
Right, so the Pillars of Hercules are these two massive rock formations marking the entrance to the Mediterranean. On the European side, you've got the Rock of Gibraltar, and on the African side, usually Jebel Musa. Legend has it Hercules created them during his 12 labours, either by splitting a mountain or setting the rocks there to show the very edge of the world. For the Greeks and Romans, the pillars were more than just landmarks. They were a hard limit, the end of the known world. Beyond them lay the Atlantic, what people sometimes called the Sea of Darkness, rumoured to be full of monsters, whirlpools, or maybe paradise islands if you ever made it back. So when Plato said Atlantis was beyond the Pillars of Hercules, he was basically placing it at the edge of everything familiar, out past where the maps end, in the land of mystery and legends.
So we've gone straight from legend to GPS coordinates. Reece, any idea how far back these ruins actually go?
Wow, that has to be older than almost anything else they've found out there, right?
That's what's so wild. They think these ruins could be 10, maybe even 12,000 years old, which is way before the Phoenicians, Romans, anyone we usually call ancient. Reece, could you give everyone a quick refresher on who the Phoenicians actually were? In my mind, I always picture them as bold ocean traders with a thing for purple, but I know there's a lot more to their story.
That's a great picture, Skye. You've got the heart of it, but there's even more, and a whole lot of legend wrapped around it. The Phoenicians were these incredible seafarers from what's now Lebanon. Almost 4,000 years ago, they were crisscrossing the Mediterranean, trading, founding colonies, and, if you believe the old stories, sailing into places nobody else dared go. They're the ones who gave us the ancestor of our modern alphabet. And of course, there's Tyrian purple, their famous dye made from sea snails, sometimes worth more than gold and reserved for royalty. But here's what really fascinates people. The Phoenicians were right at the very edge of the known ancient world, so if something shows up that's even older than their cities and harbours, we're heading into territory that's more myth than history. That's what makes these discoveries so electrifying.
To pin that down, they used the whole toolkit. 3D mapping, LiDAR, all kinds of echo sounders, pretty much anything you can imagine for finding what's hidden under the sea. They even documented the whole process in a film called Atlantica, and there are published reports out now if you want to dig into the details. Honestly, the LiDAR part always feels a bit sci-fi to me. Lasers scanning for lost cities. Reece, can you break down how that actually works?
Yeah, it really does feel like something out of science fiction. LiDAR stands for Light Detection and Ranging. Imagine a plane flying over lost ruins, firing off hundreds of thousands of laser pulses every second. Each one bounces back from whatever it hits, trees, ground, even buried structures. And the system measures how long each pulse takes to return. All those timings get combined into a super detailed 3D map of the landscape, even showing what's hidden beneath thick forests or layers of earth.
So you can actually scan right through jungle canopies or even layers of earth, just by collecting all those laser bounces?
Exactly. It's wild. LiDAR lets researchers suddenly see what's been hidden in plain sight for centuries, like uncovering buried Mayan highways in the jungle or massive ruins on the Spanish seafloor. Sometimes it really does feel like the planet is just waiting for us to ask the right questions before revealing its oldest secrets.
And that's just what's hidden offshore. But what's right under our feet can be just as strange. Reece, I know you've been digging into some new research on Roman roads that could really change what we thought we knew. What's the scoop?
And it turns out, what's hidden beneath our feet is just as incredible as what's under the sea. There's this new research on Roman roads that's honestly kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, there's this new study called the Itinerary Project. It's actually the most detailed survey of Roman roads ever done. Wait till you hear how many kilometers of roads they uncovered.
Nearly 300,000 kilometers. That's about 186,000 miles. Adam Pazout's team at the Autonomous University of Barcelona published these results. And get this, that's 50% more Roman roads than anyone thought existed.
How did they even manage to find so much more road? Was it basically like Google Maps for ancient highways?
Pretty much. They combined satellite images, LiDAR scans, to spot what's hidden underground, and loads of old records. What they found is that a lot of today's highways are actually built right on top of those Roman roads, and in some places the routes go back even further, following paths people used before the Romans ever arrived.
Just wild. So whether we're talking ancient cities or ancient roads, it makes you wonder what else is hiding in plain sight. But some of the most fascinating mysteries aren't buried. They're swimming right past us. Right now, there's been incredible news about dolphin language. There's this project called Dolphin Gemma, a collaboration between Google, Georgia Tech, and the Wild Dolphin Project. They've given the AI more than 40 years of dolphin recordings, decades of clicks, whistles, and who knows what else.
40 years? That's a wild data set. Are they really hoping to have actual conversations with dolphins?
That's exactly what they're working toward. Dr. Denise Herzing and the Wild Dolphin Project team are analyzing decades of dolphin recordings, searching for patterns in the sounds that could be the building blocks of real communication. To make sure they're capturing the latest interactions, they're even recording fresh audio out on the water with just pixel phones.
Speaking of mysteries, remember those lost Roman roads we were talking about earlier? Imagine if we could actually ask dolphins what happened to them. What do you think we'd want to know first?
If we could talk to dolphins, I'd be the first to ask for directions. Since we're not quite there yet, the researchers say it's still early days. All these discoveries along Spain's coast have made us even more curious. So we reached out to someone who's lived by that water all their life and grew up with these stories.
We're so glad to welcome Omar Sandoval. Omar, you've spent your life fishing the waters near Chipiona, and you also volunteer with dolphin rescues. In our research about your village, we came across the "Guard Below" chant that's important to local fishers. If you're comfortable, could you share a line or two and tell us what it means to your community? Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you both. I'll do my best in English. The Guard Below chant is very special to us. My abuelo, my grandfather, would sing it before dawn, just before we set out to sea. The line goes, "Guardad abajo lo que duerme. No despertéis la marea vieja." That means, guard below what sleeps. Do not wake the old tide. To us, those words were always a warning, but not just a scary story, more a mark of respect for the sea. My elders believed there were things under the waves that should be left to rest.
Hearing you talk about the old warnings really connects with everything that's going on now, with all these underwater ruins turning up. From your perspective, what's really happening out there beneath the waves?
So, in our old stories, what people call Atlantis isn't a lost city like you see in the movies. It's a vault, a prison built deep under the sea, not to hold treasure, but to contain something far stranger. The stories say that long ago there were giant octopuses. How do you say, but not just animals. These were creatures that could slip into your mind and make people forget themselves.
That's wild. Did your elders ever talk about what those creatures looked like? Or how people could tell they weren't just regular animals?
They did, yes. The elders always described them wearing crowns, bright, jagged coral above their heads, almost glowing under the water. Their skin, they said, was marked with moving patterns, like living ink, always shifting. But those marks weren't just for show. The old stories said these creatures could use them to speak in silence, or even plant images straight into your thoughts. Some believed they made tools from coral that would obey only them, or hid memories inside shells that shimmered dark as oil. Hearing these stories, it never felt like we were talking about ordinary animals. It was more like remembering an ancient ruler, one you'd never want to wake. That's why, in our village, we never saw the ruins as just homes or temples. They always seemed like locks, built to keep something powerful from breaking free.
You've talked about these ruins feeling more like a lock than just old houses or temples. What is it about them, or the stories in your village, that makes you see them that way?
People look for a city, but the real thing is hidden. Even now, the dolphins swim there and sing. My elders always said the song keeps the vault sealed. Not magic, but a kind of code, passed down, you know. It's more than just a story. I witnessed it myself, about 15 years ago, just above the sandbanks near Sal Medina. It was a normal day, until suddenly the water changed. It grew thick, almost inky, like something was rising from below. Dolphins, maybe 20 of them, surrounded my boat, circling tight, making loud sounds, slapping the water with their tails.
Were you scared? Or did it seem like the dolphins were just playing? Or did it feel like something else entirely?
At first, I thought it was a hunt, but they only swam tighter and made more noise. They never let me get near a certain spot. It really felt like they were pushing me away. I left, and for days afterward, I felt shaken. When I told the elders, they weren't surprised. They said, "The dolphins protect what is sealed. Remember the chant." After that, I began collecting these stories because I realized for us, they were not just stories.
I really appreciate you sharing these stories, Omar. It honestly makes all the news about the ruins feel totally different. You mentioned old songs and warnings growing up. What's the very first version you remember hearing? Where does it all start for you?
Yes. My abuelo, my grandfather, would tell me stories when I was very young. Before we went out to sea, he'd remind me to respect what we couldn't see below. He always said there are reasons we sing the old songs and leave some things undisturbed. It helps keep our minds clear. Otherwise, it's like walking around in a thick fog. You're alive, but your own thoughts just sort of slip away, and you don't even realize it's happening.
Did you ever hear stories about villagers who managed to resist that mind fog, or whatever was supposed to be lurking under the sea?
We called them the undrowned, people who somehow resisted that mind fog. No one really knew why it happened. Some said it was just luck. Others believed the dolphins protected them. They'd come back from storms, saying they heard voices under the waves, but something kept them who they were.
That really connects with some of the old myths. The ancient Greeks told stories of dolphins saving shipwrecked sailors. They saw them as protectors, almost like guides between our world and whatever mysteries might be hiding below the waves.
Isn't it fascinating how dolphins as protectors turn up in stories from so many places? It really seems like every culture by the water has their version.
Absolutely. Omar, what do dolphins mean to you and your community? Are they seen as protectors, or is their role something even deeper?
Always. Around here, people say the dolphin song breaks the sea's mind fog. As the years passed, we learned to trust that and to work alongside the dolphins, watching over whatever sleeps below.
The sable wars you've mentioned? Those weren't just ordinary battles, were they? What made them so different?
No, these were secret battles. People and dolphins working together to outsmart things that could slip into your mind and twist your thoughts. The stories say it all depended on being clever and on the dolphin song to keep everyone steady.
Omar, could you tell us the legend of Amara? I've heard she and the dolphins work together to seal something dangerous in a maze under the sea. Is that right?
She did. Her necklace, threaded with cephalopod beaks, was left behind as a warning. Together with the dolphins, she sealed the creatures inside the labyrinth. No one really knows what became of Amara, only that the necklace remained, a sign to keep others away.
Labyrinths built to keep something dangerous locked away. That's an ancient idea. Reece, does that show up in other myths?
Like the Cretan maze with the Minotaur, built to keep something dangerous trapped. But what's really unique in Omar's stories is that the lock isn't just stone, it's alive, with the dolphin's song sealing everything in.
Do people in your community still see the dolphin song as something that protects those ruins, Omar?
Yes, the dolphins teach their song from mother to calf. When anyone comes near the ruins, they gather and sing. Around here, that's always been our sign to keep away.
That's powerful. Growing up with ruins that still have so many old stories woven into them.
Warnings aren't just in stories. Sometimes they're carved right into stone. All across Europe, there are ancient stone monuments called dolmens. Some people even call them fairy tables, with strange markings nobody's ever fully explained. I've always wondered if, in their own way, they're all just reminding us, step carefully.
Omar, do you have any ancient stones with strange markings or stories near Chipiona, like those dolmens Reece mentioned?
Yes, La Piedra de la Ola. Before heading out to fish, locals gather there and sing for luck. People say the groups in the stone appeared after a terrible storm nearly drowned the village. Since then, stopping to sing at the stone has become a tradition every time we go to sea.
You even see those warnings in ancient art. Minoan pottery, for example. So much of it is decorated with swirling octopus arms. I've always wondered if that wasn't just for decoration, but maybe meant as a kind of warning.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. Those swirling octopus arms could definitely be warnings. The Minoans lived right by the sea, so their art probably mixed beauty with caution, almost like a subtle reminder to respect what's out there.
It's wild. Songs, tattoos, ancient carvings. Every culture seems to leave behind signs, guarding secrets just beneath the surface.
Even today, many people wear tattoos of octopus or waves. The old fishers always said the sea would protect you if you carried its image on your skin.
It kind of makes you think, doesn't it? That all these old stories are reminders about what we should respect. Or maybe what we just shouldn't wake up.
Maybe that's what Atlantis really is. Not a lost city, but a warning, like the stories Omar shared. A sign to leave the vault sealed.
Speaking of old warnings, there are also all those stories of sea monsters, like the Kraken. Was that just a pirate's tale? Or did real sailors genuinely fear it?
For sailors back then, those monsters really were a genuine fear. They believed in creatures like the Kraken, giant squid that could drag ships into the depths. You'd even see old maps warning, "Here be monsters," at the edges of the unknown sea.
Wait, did they really put actual monsters on those maps?
Some did, like the Hunt Lennox globe, which actually says, "Here be dragons," right on the map. On other old sea charts, you'd see all sorts of sea monsters drawn in. Giant squids, serpents, even creatures inspired by the biblical Leviathan, symbols of ancient chaos no one could defeat.
Omar, in your community, are there legends or stories about sea monsters too?
In our village, the sea monsters in the stories are called guardians. Never just monsters, but watchers under the waves. If you break a tradition, trouble follows. Lost gear, strange dreams, and sometimes dolphins blocking your way.
You mentioned old traditions. Are there things people in your village still do now to stay safe or to keep the guardians happy?
Yes. Every spring, families gather by the boats to sing before setting out. It's just something we always do.
Have you noticed if the dolphins seem to react when people bring out newer technology, like sonar or research equipment, near the ruins?
When people bring out new equipment near the ruins, the dolphins tend to gather in even bigger groups. Sometimes they'll swim right in front of the boats or circle them, making it difficult to get close. Some say it's just playful, but around here, we've always thought of it as a warning.
If you could give just one piece of advice to outsiders or researchers, what would it be?
Around here, we always say, listen to the locals, and pay attention to how the dolphins behave. Some things are meant to stay undisturbed.
You know, sometimes those old warnings are still the best advice.
Omar, thank you for reminding us that sometimes the greatest respect is letting things be.
That's our way. We always say, guard below what sleeps.
That's such a powerful note to end on. If these stories pulled you in, join us next week for another deep dive into the ancient world.
Thanks so much for listening today. Wishing you gentle tides and open horizons.